So we are going to talk today about developing your own voice. And the thing is that I really know nothing about it, so I have to be very creative, which is what Jen is all about. Are you familiar with Miles Davis? Most of you are, yeah, and that's good. What is the most noticeable thing that happens to you when you listen to Miles Davis or to Clifford Brown or Bird, Charlie Parker, or Train? What happens to you when you listen to tracks from that era, 50s, 60s? Can you try to think?
You recognize the people.
You recognize the people. Very good. We recognize the people, and there is another thing. If it's a band with 3 ohms, not only you recognize the people, you recognize the fact that they sound entirely different. So there is something common there, that they all play, improvise on the same tune, but the musical landscape is entirely different. Which is amazing. So you listen to a Miles tune, and Miles played the melody kind of in a broken manner, which is already quite unique. And then there is Cannonball, very splashy, and then Coltrane comes with something kind of very linear and very different, restrained sound. And then the piano belongs to a different era. So a tune of 5 minutes is the most amazing journey music can deliver. And I myself don't hear any of it in contemporary jazz. Oh, I really have to struggle to enjoy contemporary jazz, except mine, of course. because we all sound the same. We pretty much all play the same solo. Now this sounds it's almost offensive. Why we all play the same solo? Because we all go to the same schools, or educated, following the same method. We all know pentatonics and hexatonics and all the different scales, and we use more or less the same trick. So when I'm doing something that I think that is pretty brilliant because I just learned it yesterday, the pianist already knows it for 25 years, and he goes with me rather than against me. And we play basically a jazz tune, 3 improvisers, 4 improvisers playing the same solo, different instruments. Why? Because of education. The one thing that destroyed jazz, I wouldn't like to say beyond repair, because I'm trying to repair it now. The one thing that really destroyed jazz is jazz education. Now, we accept that Charlie Parker didn't go to Berkeley, and Duke Ellington didn't go to the Royal Academy, and they managed to play music. They managed to play incredible music. But the one thing that they really wanted and fought for was developing their own voice. This is the most important thing, and this is what we are going to talk about today. There is something that I'm going to tell you, and I'm saying it every course at 9:45 every year, and I repeat it in all my classes, and it's a very simple concept, and most people actually fail to follow it. But I'm going to start there again because it is important. There are 3 things you have to do if you want to get better, great as you could be, and also develop your own voice. Okay? The first thing that you have to do is identify your own problems. Your problems can be intonation, rhythm, technique, sound, plenty. The problem that we have, most people, not just jazz artists, every people, in every profession, we like to do and to repeat what we are good at. Which is not a bad idea, but we never practice, we never work on our real problems. Okay? Now it's very difficult for us to admit to ourselves that we have a problem with time. Why? Because all people are living in denial. The one thing that we never do is face our own problem. This is not just jazz musicians. In fact, jazz musicians are better than most people, but not perfect. Alright? The first thing that you do is identify your problems. The second thing that you do, and you have to do it, not the teacher, the second thing that you have to do is to devise a strategy that deals with your problem. Why? Because if you come to me, I will teach you how to deal with my problems. And I have a lot of problems. But these are not your problems. So if you have a problem with rhythm and ear or whatever, you decide that you have 2 and 4, 1, 2, 1, 3, and you start. First you do it all day, and you talk, and you watch TV, and you do 2 and 4. Yeah? Can you talk about something? What's your name?
Bill.
But 2 and 4. Bill, what do you say?
Alto saxophone.
Alto saxophone? You already quite big fast. Alright? So you see that when you start to do 2 and 4, when you drive like that, you know, it's like, you can see that a lot of other people also have problems with you. Alright? The next thing that you do, for instance, is intervals. You want to develop it, you do it in triplets. Alright? Now, you have to develop your strategy and to move time after time to develop it, to get it better, to get it more sophisticated, to see that there are new problems, you integrate them into your practicing. There is no right practicing regime. There is a practicing regime for you, for each of you. the teacher doesn't teach us how to do things right, he has to teach us how to teach ourselves. Do you understand the difference? So there is no right exercise for saxophone or for guitar. There is a right mindset. Okay? And the third thing is very simple. You just do it. Whenever you can. Every day, all day, 3 times a week. If you do it like that, you can in 10 minutes, you can actually achieve a lot. Alright? I developed this method because at a certain stage in my life when I was young, I didn't study music, I never studied music. I can't say that I never studied music. I studied a lot of music from people I played with. But I developed this method that allowed me to practice very short time, but to progress a lot. And many of us don't have much time. We have jobs, we have kids, and so on and so on. Okay, the greatest thing about this method is that you can start to develop your own sound. The way I work on things, for instance, when I work on scales, I just want to make sure that I don't have any stuck parts, so I play it properly. Simple major scale. We have done it before. What I usually do, I do. Yeah, I do that if I want to work on, let's say, melodic minor, which is almost like alto. Yeah? If I want to work on intervals, and or if I work on all tone, the singing is more important than the playing. The singing is more important than the playing. What is the title of this workshop, masterclass? How to develop your own voice. No, I'm not a great singer, obviously. I mean, actually, I myself like my voice a lot, but I'm in a minority on that front. Yeah, but you learn to do different things about augmented. And what is the point in that? The point in developing this kind of method is that if I play there's no place where the saxophone ends and it is one thing. How I developed it, I had very few music lessons in my life, but I had an incredible teacher. And he explained all of it to me in 3, 4, 5 lessons. The concept of the 3 elementary stages of progress. I don't think that he's explained it as such, but this was the principle. For years, and maybe even now, I still find myself thinking about these lessons. He told me about developing a solo. Let's say second old. Told me, all right, you are the saxophonist, and how do you call it, like first alto, the leading alto, and you're also the rest of the big band. So it will sound. You start to think like an arranger, you become a proper musician. At one stage of my life, around my 30s, before I go there, do you sometimes experience this love-hate relationship with jazz? That you kind of like it a lot and then suddenly you cannot stand this music, you find it disgusting. It never happened to you? It's coming. I think that it happens to a lot of... did it ever happen to you that you kind of were not as happy with jazz as you thought you were before? You always love jazz. Okay, it happens to a lot of jazz musicians, to a lot of because we are doing it all the time. So then, and it's a good thing because when it happens, we start to look for other avenues. When you hate something, it's a brilliant thing, even if it's your partner. You try other partners, and then if you come back, it means that you... I don't know. Anyway, this is beyond my my expertise, but at a certain stage, it's not at a certain stage, it happened to me quite a few times in my life. I kind of said, I like music, I'm not sure that jazz is what I like. I went into tango, I went into Arabic music. And when I was around my 30s, I met a drummer that came from my country. We never played, my own band. And we never played in Israel together, but we met in London, and it was a very strong bond, and we decided to try to play Middle Eastern music and to combine it with improvisation. And I decided to play Arabic music. And very, very difficult for me. Which was amazing because everywhere you go in Palestine, you hear, am I right, Rishi? You hear Kulthum. You hear Arabic music, it's there all the time. And nothing came in. And it was amazing for me because I can play in so many different styles. And I decided to start to dig into it. So, I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong pedal. Maybe wrong pedal.
Yes, this is.
Try not to vomit. The microtonality was deliberate. One of the things that I realized that I find very difficult to play in tune, so Arabic music was perfect for me. No. The thing is, I could never figure out how to get this sound. I could hear the microtonality, but I couldn't really compartmentalize it to understand how to produce it from a Western instrument. This is a normal clarinet. And what I found was that so you can see once again that the voice is elementary in this process of finding your own color. And why? Because when you manage to get there with your voice, whether it is when you play a Louis Armstrong tune, and you play the saxophone or the trumpet or the bone or the guitar, and you get this, you internalize the true nature of the music. When I decided to be a jazz musician, there were no real books. The real books were just coming, I think the first one from America. There were no omnibooks when you buy a book with Charlie Parker or Michael Brecker, all solos. And guess what? There was no YouTube. Not only that there was no YouTube, if you wanted to listen to Charlie Parker, you had to go to a shop and to buy it. And if you were lucky, then there was tape cassette, you could record it for someone. But it was a rare thing. So you start to play jazz, and you have one album, or two, or three, and you just listen to them, and you know them by heart. I don't know how you can do it nowadays, because there is so much there, and so much bullshit as well. How do you fall? This is something that Matthias Winkelmann from Enya Record told me. I told him, listen man, I want to make many albums a year. I cannot make one album every 18 months. He told me, no, you can't do that. I told him, why? Charlie Parker did it, you know. They went to the studio every 3 months, sometimes twice a week, and make an album. I can do the same. He said, but then, there were very few people who play the music. Now everybody plays it. And everybody can record. And there is a lot of stuff there. So you make an album and you wait for the record company to make the money back. That you never see, by the way. But, and there are no record company anywhere. It's a disaster. It's a different story. What I tell you, we had very few albums. My teachers were Russian. And they had cupboards with full transcription. They had like 4 and more or whatever, kind of blue. One of my teachers, he wrote the whole album. And if you listen to Charlie Parker or Train and you transcribe it, and you sing it, you have it. You own it. The one thing that I see all the time now, and I don't even choose, they know that in YouTube, they realize that I'm interested in music and bicycles, so they send me videos all the time, you know. So I get videos about 2 bars in Michael Brecker's solo in an album that I never heard of. And the guy speaks about it for 15 minutes or half an hour, and he sees that not one chord works with it. And I can assure you that this is not the way Michael Brecker thought about it, or the way any musician thinks, any proper musician that plays proper music. As I mentioned, these greatest musicians were not particularly educated in jazz. They learned to hear the music. When I play a tune, I don't think of the chords. I don't have the chords are the chords are here in a subconscious level. Yeah? Because I internalize it. The next question that you want to ask yourself is, how do we internalize standards? And when we internalize a standard, we can play it in our keys. Because it's part of our organic thing. And different ideas will come in different keys. How would you internalize a standard? How do you do it? So it becomes your own. And you can do whatever you like with it.
Sing it. Well, analyze the basic structure and play it first very simple.
This is too theoretical for me. It's good to analyze things.
Sing it.
Sing it. Sing it is a great way, yeah?
Learn the melody first.
Sing it, learn the melody. Yeah? The next thing that you want to do, there are many ways to do it. One way is that I always tell my students, you can play 1, 3, and 7. You can hear all the things you are, yeah? You can do. That's grade 7. A great way, I follow your line of thought. The great way to play. Yorgos, can you play with me for a second? A great way is just to play around the melody, not even to look at the harmony. Have you ever tried to do that? This will be probably the closest thing to an early jazz. All the things. 1, 2, 3. I just play around the melody, and it's perfect. And the same thing to be able to sing it. 1, 2, 3. And the other thing, great. The other thing, let's do the big band. We have a big band expert. He spent the melody he's playing. I'll be the saxophone and then I'll sing all the other instruments. 1, 2, 3. By the time I do it, it will work. Now you can do it as more than one person. You know the thing you are? Who else know all the thing you are? Let's you. Okay, come to stage. I hope that the keys. Okay. Let's all sing together. We sing it together and we try to find, we play around the melody and we support each other. Okay? 1, you want to give us an introduction? Come on, It's not complicated, huh? And it sounds like this. Almost. Now, the issue here is that I bet that most of you don't practice while singing, except the singers. By the way, singers should do the opposite. Should buy a saxophone. By the way, this one is for sale. No, it's not. All right?
I will take it.
Huh?
I will take it.
Yeah. Singers should have an instrument. Now let's try to do that. The two of us singing, playing, but I need you closer so they don't hear you singing yourself. One, a two, a one. You want to sing? I think, because you are a very advanced trumpet player, and I think that you could benefit a lot. Your singing is behind your playing. And this is the issue. I'm not a singer, you can hear that I sound like a throat, but you're not supposed to laugh. You're supposed to say, no, Gilad, you sound wonderful. Why do you say so? You have to be supportive. Supportive what is going on. You know? Okay. We'll talk about it later. All right? I think that in order, this is not the only way. You find your way to develop your own voice. But in order to develop a voice, the most important thing is to have a voice and to hear your voice and to develop the voice, i.e. the singing. So if I am to do it without the saxophone, I, by the way, understood it because in my early stages I was, when I started to play saxophone, I was a soldier. So I couldn't play. I couldn't play. I had to practice singing. And I realized when I came home and I picked the saxophone, it was perfect. I could do all of it. And this is something that most young musicians in the West miss, because we take a saxophone or trumpet or trombone or piano, and the first thing that they teach us is how to read music, what is see, how it looks, not how it sounds. We like music because of the way it sounds, not how it looks. We have to start again to tune ourselves to the ear. You know what is unique about jazz musicians? First thing, that their partners are walking. And you know what is a homeless jazz musician? Is one that was dumped by his or her partner. But the most unique thing about jazz musicians is that they cannot read music. I mean, now we can, because we have. Can you read? A little bit. You know, for years, when there was a gig with reading, you take someone else. Yeah? Pete Churchill used to teach in this course, and he used to say, when I was young, when Pete was young, he said, the people who could read music went to the Royal Academy. Thank you. Went to the Royal Academy, and those who couldn't read music stayed at home and learned how to play the jazz. This is what it is. I'm not telling you to forget about your reading. It's a useful tool. But jazz is about the ears, the internal ear, the ability to bring to light your own sound. Now I want to tell you one thing, and then I allow you to ask your questions if you need to. This is something that is interesting. I think when people ask Mary is here, because you were part of my organization. No, I thought that you were a bank robber, but now I realize that it's later getting for. One of my students, who is a very, very good musician, he just studied saxophone, but he's actually way better musician than me, told me once that the most interesting period in jazz artists is the transition. The moment that they look for new things. And I never understood it fully. But I knew that there was something there. When you listen to culture and when he developed these ideas, when it comes and it's all perfect, it sounds like an exercise. And the same happened to me in a way with Arabic music. It's all my music. I struggled with it. And I developed it in my band, and I developed how can you combine it with improvisation and so on and so on. And it was a lot of fun, but I knew that I wasn't playing it right. I was always praised in the German press and the English press, and they said, what an Ara, he used to fight with them, now he's the Guardian, now he plays with them. All this bullshit. But I felt that the music wasn't, when you do something and you know that you're not doing it well. And so I was kind of I felt very insecure about it. And there were 2 points that I remember in this process that I went through. Do you know Robert Wyatt? Some of you probably know Robert Wyatt. Robert Wyatt invited me for a recording, and he wanted me to play. He had it on the track. He recorded on the I think it was still 2-inch on the multi-track. He had a tune by Amal Murgus, a Palestinian singer, and he wanted me to play exactly her singing. And this was a nightmare. A nightmare because it's like, had to learn in some time 8 by 8. Because he really wanted it exactly the same. To emulate the voice. And in the end of the session, I was kind of in a rush. I had a concert in Birmingham. He gave, the engineer gave me a CD, and on the way back to London in the night, 12 hours later, I don't know, I told the band, listen, I recorded today with Robert Wyatt, and it was really frustrating session. It was very hard for me, but I want to listen to it. And it was the first time that I heard that I actually played the Arabic music. It sounded like Arabic, but I knew that it wasn't for me. That I kind of really was listening, singing, she is singing something, I emulated it in the voice and finding the quarter notes. You understand? It's not ba-da-bi, it's quarter, sometimes quarter notes, 8 notes, it's macro tonality. The next time, I never told you, the next time that we recorded an album, 1 or 2 albums in Freiburg, and it was one of your tunes, and I played my Arabic solo, and I went to the control, and I said, wow, this really sound like, to my ears, maybe not, I can tell you that what sound to me good is not necessarily good. It sounded to me like Turkish. And it was the first time that I kind of wasn't embarrassed. However, when I listened to my work in perspective, the time that I was struggling with it is way more interesting, because by the time I learned to play Turkish like a Turk, I sound like a Turk, I sound like nothing. It's boring. There are Turks that are doing it already for 3,000 years. Alright? So, you always want to keep yourself on the edge of struggling to internalize the sound. There is always some kind of sound to listen to try to incorporate. And I'm doing it probably for more years than most of you. And Spiro is my roommate, and he can hear that every day I kind of try to look into a kind of different sound, pentatonic, hexatonic. I take chain of chords and I go around them in all keys and explore and sing, and do it always very, very slowly. This is how you develop vocabulary, authenticity, and a personal voice. You sound like no one else. Now, sounding like no one else sometimes is very good, sometimes it's very bad, but this we'll know later. All right, questions? Yeah.
What would you say is the difference between finding your own voice and then getting stuck with that voice, where you say, oh, I found my own voice, but I keep repeating what I'm always playing. It's still your own voice, isn't it?
Yeah.
To me, that's kind of the trap that I fall into.
Yeah,
It's frustrating too.
It's a good question. As I just said, your own voice can be slightly boring even for yourself. I don't say that this is your case, but I'll tell you something that is quite embarrassing. You know, they say that every composer composed basically 3 tunes. And we still have it, though we didn't play now because of COVID for 2 years. Like, we had one concert in November in the festival, and then they closed us again. So I basically composed 3 tunes, and I managed to produce, I don't know, 12 albums with the Orient House with these 3 tunes in different inversions, but it's just 3 tunes. And the truth of the matter is that I really got bored with myself. And I said, okay, I'll do a tribute to Charlie Parker. And it was very successful because I wasn't very good at it. All right? So I said, oh man, he changed something. You know, I just didn't manage to. But this is the way, you know, when you're bored with yourself, you challenge yourself. To be a musician, I think Miles Davis said it, is to attempt to reinvent yourself once a day. And it is possible. It is possible. It happened to me one day. And no, it is possible. It is possible. And if you don't have enough time to dedicate to it, once a week. It doesn't happen often. Jim, how often does it happen to you that you really shock yourself in a gig?
It happens a lot after I haven't played for a long time.
Yeah, but it's not something that is under our control. It's not something. No, it's something that I remember when I played when I was touring kind of every night for 10 years. It would happen to me once every 6 months. Now, because we don't play a lot, the COVID period, and we don't play musicians. I mean, we are starving, and some of us, you can see some of us in the street of Saarwellingen, I'm not begging for food. But no, it is not necessarily a great thing for music and for musicians. All right. So the answer is, you're bored. It's good. It means that your system is begging for an uplift, for a change.
Gilad, do you mind if I just add one thing?
Yeah.
I think it's also about, in my experience, it's also about input, which is what I think why for me I have the feeling of being fresh if I haven't played for a long time, because I'm processing other things that I've heard. Yeah. So that thing about connecting your ears to your playing, like it's about what you listen to as well, how you feed your imagination and how you feed your knowledge in music.
Of course. And this is something that all of you should know by now. What I'm saying, all those years we tell people to transcribe, and I still think that transcribing is a great experience. But even when you transcribe something, sing it. Sing it. If you sing it, you own it. Because if you sing it and then you play it wrongly, you will know. If it's on the book and you play it wrongly, you won't know. Sing solos with other people, then sing it without them. Another thing that Charlie Parker didn't have, and he complained about it, is I Will Pro. He didn't have I Will Pro. So what he did, he was working on Blues for Alice. If I play any tune, what tune is it? What is it? Windorfenstrasse, yeah? So you should be able to. You should be able to green passport Strasse. Andrew said yesterday. Green passport Green pass Dolphinstrasse. The thing is play without I will pro. Without -1. There was no Jamie Eberson for John Coltrane. He played like that. He played giant steps here. This is the way. When you do that, you hear the changes. The changes become part of your. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you always have something to say?
About COVID or about music?
About music?
I generally always have something to say. Always. Always. But about music, you mean? Okay.
Like in your own voice?
No, there are some styles of music that I struggle with. Always struggle, and you always struggle. And I won't tell you what they are, you will figure out and you tell me in the last. No, for instance, I'm not particularly good in a lot of young musicians now. They give you charts and I cannot see or cannot hear the connection between chords. I don't hear it. I used to say that I struggle with Wayne Shorter, but it's not. I can handle Wayne Shorter. I can hear it's different scales there. But and also I like odd rhythm, but I don't like odd rhythms when I have to call my accountant and to ask him where is the one. This really frustrating. And then obviously I would have less to say because I will be, when I play, I will be shattered by an anxiety. Everybody here in this room had sensed before this thing that you play a tune and you feel on the shaky ground. You know what I'm talking about? And every musician has this kind of thing. That we don't feel totally secure. Am I right, Enzo? No, the problem with you is that you never feel shaky. You just make mistakes and you don't even notice. And the good thing about it is that nobody else notices because he's very... No, but you know, Jim, yeah, there is always a place where we are close to the envelope. Now, one way around it is to learn to fake it, which is what I do. But what serious musicians do, what you should do is to say, this is where we start today. This is where we start today. And you realize I wasn't born with giant steps. When I heard it, I thought, what the fuck is it? It's crazy, what? It's amazing. How did you get this? And listen, I looked at it the first time and said, how did the chords relate to each other? And it took me curious, and I can play over giant steps now for probably one chorus easily. Kind of like as long as I want. Another thing, it's too easy. Make it in 7/8. Too easy. Make it in 5. Yeah? You can do it. So 4, 7, 5. It's not easy. There is always, with every standard, there is always a breaking point where I say, I don't know what's the time. Huh? I don't remember even what time it was. 10:35. So we have time, I think, for one more question. If yeah.
I was always taught that if you wanted to achieve mastery of any subject, whether you wanted to be a theoretical physician, or whether you want to be a musician, or whether you want to be a painter, it takes 10,000 hours to achieve mastery. That's independent of anything that you want to achieve.
Yeah.
Now, what I've always thought is that Jamie Aebersold and those kind of teaching, try to create shortcuts in the 10,000 hours. And from what I understand, what you're saying is that that's not working.
I don't think that there are shortcuts. There are no shortcuts. What we have instead, and I don't know if you were here in the beginning, but I said it last year, so you probably heard me saying it. What I say instead, identify your problems and concentrate on them using your brain, developing the tactics that will take you further. This is not a shortcut. It's actually climbing the mountain in the most difficult place, but doing it in a very controlled way. Yeah? If you do that, it won't take you 10,000 hours. It may take you 1 month. Whether you're going to be John Coltrane, I'm not so sure. Even John Coltrane wasn't sure that he was John Coltrane. Okay? But it will, our project as jazz artists, as human beings maybe, before COVID, was to try to be as great as we can in whatever we like to do. This is the project. So if you will be as great as you can be as a saxophonist, or you'll be on the path, this is a lot. This is a lot. And this is what I try to do. I'm not John Coltrane, and I can already say now that John Coltrane is not Gilad Atzmon. Lucky. No, but this is what I try to do. I try to be as John Coltrane as I can, not to copy John Coltrane. Coltrane was always going somewhere. He was always in a constant transition. Some people here played kind of on stages in festivals near to Michael Brecker. Did it happen to you, or you are probably too young?
Yeah, not Brecker.
Not Brecker. The Randy. Wayne, no, but I mentioned Brecker for a reason, because I was 24 years old and I played in a festival, and we kind of played the slot before, and then I think it was the Brecker brothers or maybe Steps, I don't remember, but with Brecker he came and he played, you know, he could play the saxophone, and it was in the Red Sea Festival, and you know, it's like 45 degrees during the day and maybe 39 in the night. And when we finished the gig, when we finished the gig at 1 o'clock or something, everyone went to the jam session in the swimming pool, and he stayed to practice. He was famous for it. Tony knew him very well. You know, it's a famous story. He was always kind of trying to improve. So if Michael Brecker and John Coltrane kind of felt in constant transition, so we can also give it a go. Again, my most important message to you is to find your own voice. You have to sing it. This is a kind of a very technical advice, but you have to sing. And what happens to you when you sing? You are singing with me. You actually expose yourself. It's a pretty vulnerable position to be, you know, especially if you're not a singer. You know, when I'm singing, when I sang in a workshop to students the first time, it's frightening. Yeah, but this is what it is. This is what it is. There is to be good is a suicidal procedure, and it's better to die for jazz than for violin. I have to say something. I always have something to say about something. All right. Again, a final note about the jam session. Some of you missed it. I realized that we had the life crisis yesterday. And if you play in a session, and if you are especially an own player, play 2, maximum 3 tunes, clear the stage, invite someone else to come. You can come and do it later. So we have more rotation, because the last thing that I want to do is to have jam polizai. We have it in some places. It's really not needed. They are all adult and beautiful human beings. All right. So, and if you are a rhythm section, because we don't have a lot, the same rule applies. But if nobody is there to take the bass from you or the drums, stay there till you're done. Be a soldier. You know. So